Morning, everyone. Welcome to the CPTP Mentor Orientation. This is our second mentor orientation. My name is Leah Martinez, and I'm the interim project manager for the community partnerships for Teacher Pipeline here at Rio Hondo College. And I'm going to pass it to Aaliyah, our success coach.
Hello, mentors. My name is Aaliyah Medrano. I am the student success coach. I feel sometimes I work more with the students, but I'm also here to help you out with anything, resources, maybe icebreakers. You can't get a hold of your mentee, please reach out to me, and I'm here to help you out with whatever that you may need.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Nicole, and I am the CPTP Program Associate. So as more into the room, we're going to do a quick introduction in the chat. So if you could please put your name, what your current teaching pathway and grade level is, and the last song that you listened to. Thanks so much for joining us this morning. We'll get started in just a moment. And you know, while we do this introduction, we'll go ahead and play the video on our next slide as well. We're going to go ahead and jump into our objectives for the day. Thank you all so much for joining us on this Friday morning. If you are a returning mentor, some of this information won't be new to you, but we do have some new developments that we're going to introduce to you. And if you are a new mentor, if you have any questions, please drop them in the chat. We might not have time to immediately get to them, but you will be receiving a copy of this recording along with the deck that we're going to be using today. And we'll be sure to address those questions when we send out the email. So our objectives for today are to get to know each other a little bit better. We're going to explain how you can reach the different members of the CPTP team. We're going to go over the program so that you can understand the special features, specifically our EAM for Equity model, along with our teacher mentoring network. We're going to do a compass activity that kind of lets you think about what your work style is. We're going to go over the research aspect of CPTP. We are a research funded grant, so we will cover some of the information behind that. We'll have a quick sign-in sheet and a career aspiration survey for you to complete. And then we'll go a little bit deeper into what you'll be doing this semester, including our EAM log process, which has been updated since this past semester, some stipend information. We are using the Canvas LMS system that some of you may be familiar with this semester. So we'll talk a little bit more about that and then what happens next with matching. Is just some of the updated contact information, who you can contact depending on what issues you may be dealing with. So of course, you know Aaliyah, who just introduced herself. She is the Rio Hondo Success Coach. So if you have any issues contacting your student. If you feel like your student might need some additional support, you can go ahead and reach out to Aaliyah. She's there to support both you and your student. If you have any issues or concerns in regards to your stipend or anything that's related to the CPTP program, you can go ahead and contact Leah. And then if you have any questions about the TMN events or activities or something's happening with the EAM logs, you can reach out to the CPTP staff directly and we'll get back to you and see what's going on.
My name is Yvonne Tran and I am the program manager for CPTP. And I just want to, I think I see a lot of returning faces as well as some new ones. So some of this might just be a really quick reminder of what CPTP is all about. So we are a program that provides students with multi-layered mentoring. So the mentor teacher, the success coach, the TMN, and it includes EAM, mentoring, career development activities, and stipends. Students of all majors may explore teaching. I think that's very important, as well as just you have students at different levels. So some who are maybe know exactly that they want to be like a certain teacher, and others who maybe have not even thought of teaching before. And so you have a range of students and where they're at in the teaching path. But this is great for them because this is a chance for them to explore not only teaching, but also the different areas of teaching, whether it's STEM, special ed, ECE, and inclusive of all subjects. The Teacher Mentoring Network is also an element that elevates the students and teachers' experiences. And so we're really hoping this year to be able to get a lot more mentors to come out as well. I know it's a very busy time, but we love seeing you all, and we love seeing you there interacting with the students. We also incorporate an emphasis on equity and social justice. And as a reminder, this is a research project that is federally funded through the SEED grant. And as a result, we're collecting data throughout the whole process and hopefully be able to share with others doing this type of work and thinking about growing this type of program at their colleges. So we're going to just watch the end of year one video. I think it's much easier to kind of watch this story and see the impact that CPTP has had rather than just talk about it. So let's turn that on and then let you all see what CPTP is all about.
We push education. We need to give other students what we never got ourselves. And I feel like if a lot of educators start doing that, whether it's males or females, we are going to push our tomorrow to a better place.
Some of the long-term benefits for our students who have gone through CPTP program, they have a whole cadre of educators to kind of walk the journey with them to become credentialed teachers. So these students do not have to do it alone. They do not have to go through that whole process alone. There are a lot of educators who believe in the mission of CPTP and want to be a part of the support system for these students.
Growing up, I had one male teacher in the 8th grade, and he had the biggest impact out of all my teachers. And he's one of the main reasons why I wanted to become a teacher. And I want to be that special inspiration or that role model.
Their mentor network will be a space where they can stay connected to the community of educators that they meet during this time and other educators. Some of those people are teachers, some of those people might be administrators, some of those people might be retired teachers. So it gives them access to a whole community that thinks that them coming into the profession of teaching is really important.
For me, it was being able to like work with a mentor teacher to really help you build your skills, to help you feel more get more comfortable like into the actual teaching profession. I thought that was a very great thing I liked about the program.
It's not just about the student success, it's about the community's work. And that's what this grant and that's what this program is all about. It's about how did the teachers and the students who are here today become the leaders that make their communities healthier and more prosperous. And we're really excited about that.
Many school districts are all collaborating in this project to build a mentor-teacher network, as well as a group of students who we ultimately hope to place back into the classrooms in the communities in which they grew up in.
For us, it's really that community development frame. It's about getting to know you, having relationships, and making sure that we're helping you and that you're helping us make a difference.
You all had a really good conversation about mentoring and your experiences with it. So we're gonna, hopefully you can kind of draw some of the similarities to the Enhanced Advisory Mentoring, EAM for Equity model that we subscribe to here at CPTP. So I'm going to break down each of the parts of the EAM, and so we can kind of understand more of how this maybe differs from traditional mentoring that we're used to. So the enhanced part means that this mentoring is grounded in reducing barriers for students interested in exploring teaching. So we integrate an emphasis on equity and social justice. It's a multi-layered approach to support the students' academic and career development. There are also wraparound services with the mentor, the success coach, the teacher mentoring network, and other support personnel. And it's really trying to create a greater safety net and support system for all students. The advisory part means that we have advisement that focuses on the career development of the student as they gain knowledge and experience in what it's really like to be a teacher. So that means we're very intentional with matching you with no more than 2 students to have that closer relationship and deeper relationship development. You're going to talk to your students and learn more about their aspirations, goals, and needs, and really, work with them to come up with the plan and come up with and be very responsive to what their needs are. Because sometimes it could be something about school, but maybe there's something going on with at home, or maybe there's something going on with or questions about other things besides education. So just really talk to them. Maybe it's time management. So there's a lot of different things that I think the personalized support for the student being flexible and proactive is kind of what this type of advisory is talking about. You're really walking the path with them through relationship-focused professional fellowship, and really talking to them, sharing your own experiences in teaching to really facilitate that connection and contact. And then mentoring, again, that word connecting is kind of the thing that stands out. There is really targeted support for students to ensure belonging and access. And so we're very intentional with every piece of the EAM model. Mentors, we encourage to be responsive, proactive, and flexible to the students' needs and goals. Again, it's that one-on-one and the access to the success coach at the community college level, which is kind of this cohort level of connection. And then the teacher mentoring network, which is this access to this broader network and community experience for the students. And so, you know, this is really depicted well in this little triangle that we have that we've developed to kind of explain what EAM for equity is. And so you can see how the multi-tiered system of engagement, as well as all of these different wraparound program models, really create that experience for the students going through the program. And so this is the model that represents kind of everything that we do. And we're going to dive into, when you look at this triangle, we're going to dive into each of these pieces in the next few slides.
So we're going to start at the top of the triangle, which is that one-on-one connection with you, their mentor. So this is our EAM roadmap, which is designed to be used as a flexible guide for CPT students as they work together with you, their mentor. It's full of resources, suggestions for activities, different action items, and timelines that provide the opportunity for a well-rounded student exploration of the teaching profession. We want to remind you that you might be paired with a student who has never considered teaching. They have no idea what it entails. So it's truly teacher exploration, not teacher preparation, as they complete these 30 hours of EAM logs per semester. So I recommend having it bookmarked so that it's easily accessible for you and your student throughout the school year. It's not a contract. You guys don't have to go by this, but we wanted to make sure that we provide something in case you and your student might need a little bit of a guide throughout the semester to see where you should be, what you should be talking about around this time, and really make sure that they're getting a well-rounded experience from it. I wouldn't recommend downloading it as it is a living document. And as new content becomes available, we do update it periodically throughout the semester. And if you download it to your computer, you won't get those updates. So I would recommend just bookmarking it. And it will be addressed a bit deeper in that asynchronous training that you will complete a little bit later on. Another aspect of that one-on-one mentoring is the classroom visitations. We did have them happening this past semester, but I do want to acknowledge that we are still in a pandemic, and we know that it's dependent on you, your school district, and just your own personal feelings about it. But we do hope that this is something that you and your students can look into together. We'll dive a little bit deeper about what some of the agreements and responsibilities are when it comes to this, but we know our students love it. We know you guys love seeing it, and sometimes having them see that live in person action, day in the life of a teacher, is really helpful for their experience. And then their initial connection. If you're a returning mentor, you know what it's like to reach out to your student and make that first connection. We also encourage our students to reach out to make the first connection. That way they can share their availability, see what your availability looks like. You're busy, they're college students, so we know that you might be able to meet them more virtually than you would in person, but we just want you to come back to this and think about how you might reach out and make that initial connection with your student. And then the middle of that triangle is the cohort with the success coaches. So out of the 3 campuses we work with, each of them have a designated success coach or success coaches to help you and your student throughout the semester. This for Rio Hondo would be Aaliyah, and Aaliyah is there for peer-to-peer guidance and coaching. She works with the CPTP teams at the community college levels, along with the CCE CPTP teams. They tend to have experience at the community college level and possibly some experience with teaching But really, we want to focus on the cohort level engagement with the students and with you all to help make sure that the students are connected with their campus and any community resources that come up. And then moving on to the bottom of that triangle, which is the teacher mentoring network. This is the TMN events that we put on. It is a network of resources, not only for the students, but it's all of you. We want to make sure that at any point of this, our students have a network of allies that they can reach out to and contact. So it's teacher professionals at all stages of their careers who are welcome. It could be your first year teaching, your 15th year teaching. You might just know that you want to be a teacher and you want to be able to be involved with it. But it's specifically mentor teachers and colleagues and students who are looking to connect with one another and become a support system for those who are also in their field by creating this network of engagement, advisement, affinity groups, kinships, making sure that ultimately we all feel like we belong. And it's also a professional learning community. We want to make sure that no matter what level of teaching that you're at, that you can pull something away from it. So this is our TMN commercial. If we have time at the end, we'll go ahead and play it, but I highly recommend that you come back to it when you receive this deck if we don't have time. The video gives you a glimpse into some of our TMN events, and we even recommend watching it with your student and discussing which events you might be interested in the future, because a lot of the events that are happening in this commercial will come back this fall. And you can find them on our TMN calendar, which is chock full of things that are upcoming. A lot of the events will begin right at the beginning of September. We do acknowledge that you are busy and that your students are busy. So if you do end up registering, we record most of the TMN events. So if you're unable to make it, you will receive a recording of it, but it's a great way to connect with your student, gain more knowledge with your students. And it's just as easy as signing up for it and attending.
All right. And then something else that we're trying to really increase this year is the amount of job opportunities that are available for your students. So we partner with community-based local organizations as well as school districts, looking to hire tutors, paraprofessionals, different jobs and positions where students are in front of the classroom or inside the classroom. So, we vet these jobs to make sure that they're aligned with the CPTP equity framework. Most of them pay at least around $20 and can go up to $25 or more. So it's paid education sector experience because we understand that community college students, they want to work and they need to work. And so why not work get paid while they get that teaching experience as well. So, typically we'll send out information about applying to students as well as hosting information sessions. So this year we plan on sending it out to both students and mentors, and so that you can forward it to them or encourage them to apply if they are looking at finding a job. We're also always looking for new job opportunities for students. And so if you know of any job openings at your district or your site, please email us. Currently, we work with Inglewood Unified School District, Woodcraft Rangers, and Toro Tutors to provide paid job opportunities for students. Another thing we do within TMN is also create spaces for universities to build relationships with CPTP students. So working with all of the local Cal states, as well as all of the UCs listed here and some private schools. We want students to be able to expose to the different education pathways at each of these districts each of these universities that they're thinking of transferring to, as well as connect with the transfer resources at each of the campuses. And so, this is really exciting. And again, we want you to hopefully be able to share your experiences at the university level, getting your credential and encouraging them to participate in these activities where they can connect with their future campus. And so this is a sample calendar for a student that we've provided that shows how a student may be able to fit these activities within a week. because 30 hours can be a lot, and a lot of them there's quite a few that tend to wait to the very last minute. It's human nature, like we have a lot going on, and sometimes it ends up being procrastinated, and they wait till the end. But 30 hours to complete at the end of the semester can be really difficult. And so we've encouraged the students as well as the mentors to really work on trying to complete those hours throughout the year and not waiting till the very last minute. And so doing things like those classroom visitations, those check-in meetings, even replying to email messages, joining you at your staff meeting, things like that can be fit within a week. And it is something that you might discuss with your students as you check in of like, oh, hey, what are the things you plan on accomplishing this week? Something that we also emphasize is that we do have a lot of our things recorded, all of our events recorded, a lot of asynchronous resources on the EAM roadmap. And so if a student's ever like, hey, I actually have a few hours this weekend I could probably complete, they can look to those things to be able to complete their hours in a timely manner. And so, yeah, as a mentor, hopefully you'll be able to share ideas for activities and conversations to discuss with your students and help them plan for the different activities that they'll be working on to complete those hours. And again, just to emphasize, the 30 hours is what the student does. It's not what you do. You are there really just to help facilitate those conversations about those activities. Yes, so that's a great question, Andrea. So we actually have a new learning management system this time. So we're going to share what that entails, and it's kind of become our hub of all the recordings. We also have the EM roadmap, which we've linked like a TMN archive to. We also have a lot of our videos on YouTube now. So it's accessible in multiple ways that students can access all the recordings. So we'll talk a little bit more about Canvas in just a moment, but I do want to talk about the SEED grant research project and the research component of CPTP. So I'm actually going to share a video of Al, just to Al Heredia, who is with West Ed, and he's our external evaluator who is evaluating our project for the grant requirements. So he's going to share with you how this might affect, or how you'll be involved in this research.
So I work with an agency called West Ed, and we partnered with CPTP on this project, and our role is going to be to conduct the research and evaluation component of this effort. And basically we'll be answering two questions that you see up on your screen. The first is specific to research about the program, and that's what is the effect of CPTP supports for students. When we talk about the effect, what we mean is whether or not there are any important outcomes for students as a result of participation in the program. So important outcomes include improvements in GPA, improved progress through coursework and coursework completion, and if it's choices of students to transfer, for example, if they've chosen a major or a pathway that requires transfer to four-year university, that they're successful in doing so. The overall evaluation question focuses more on the quality of the program, how it supports students, and whether or not those supports can be documented and shared with other institutions. So the goal here is pretty much to map out the program, understand what's going well, what isn't, understand whether or not changes can be made to improve the program, and then whether or not we can actually develop a design that can be shared with other institutions so that other students benefit as well at other colleges. So key activities for the research and evaluation components are going to be first obtaining informed consent from all the research participants. So the key research participants are going to be, of course, the students and the mentors. We'll be collecting data from both groups. Both groups will be completing surveys, and we will be asking both groups to complete surveys about the program. These are going to essentially focus on your perceptions of the program, what kinds of activities you engage in through the program, and then we'll also do more specific interviews. And in the interviews, we'll want more qualitative data about what's happening in the program, how you're participating in the program, your thoughts about the program, including how it's going, as well as what you think the effects are of the program. And then we'll be looking at that data along with student outcome data. So we'll be working with the colleges to obtain data about students in the program and students not in the program. And we're going to be doing a comparison to see whether or not the participants actually experience benefit and greater outcomes or better outcomes as a result of participation. So that'll be a key component of our data analysis. And we'll be conducting key data collection around, surveys and student outcomes, generally in the winter, about late fall, winter, in about December of each year, beginning with 2021 and then again with 2022. And that's time so that we can see what perceptions and outcomes of the program are after about 1 year of student participation and 2 years of student participation. Another sub-question we have is whether or not an increased amount of participation leads to even better outcomes. And so right after those two data collection points, we'll be conducting reporting. Reporting will include data about and from the students and the mentors. One thing to keep in mind is that as part of the informed consent, we will let you know these data will all be aggregated, which means that it's essentially an average of the data that we collect. And so all the data are combined and we don't reveal any individual identities along with the data. So we try to maintain your confidentiality as best as we can.
Something we do want to emphasize is that participants do get paid to take the surveys as well as join the focus groups and interviews for AL. And so I hope for the returning mentors that you were able to participate in this last round of surveys and interviews. If not, there will be a second chance this upcoming semester. And so just keep an eye out for emails from West Ed, as well as let your students know too that if they participate, they also get paid. So this information and research is going to be very, very helpful for us to not only improve programming right now, but also for future growth and programming that might come along. So thank you so much.
We know it's a lot of information, so before we continue, we just want to take a moment to pause and acknowledge the responsibilities and agreements that we discuss when it comes to being a CPTP mentor. So the responsibilities entail serving as a personal teacher mentor to a maximum of 2 CPTP students who complete 30 hours of enhanced advisory mentoring per semester. And we do want to remind you that a lot of the work falls on the students in terms of that 30-hour requirement. You are there to have conversations with them and wrap around what they're learning. And that's when the EAM logs that we'll discuss in a second come into play, because it requires your approval. The stipend payments occur when your students complete the full 30 hours, and once it's processed with the community college. You'll get a bit more information about that at the college-specific orientation. Currently, you're completing that online CPTP orientation, and we'll be sending you the asynchronous training information that'll come at a later date via email. And then lastly, we just ask that you communicate with the CPTP program director at Rio Hondo, that is Leah, with any concerns that come up with your CPTP students as needed. And you agree that you'll verify and approve your students' hours for the online EAM logs. And we're going to go ahead and move on to our agreements. And the agreements are that you and your student both acknowledge that you are consenting to participate in the research that studies the effectiveness of the program. You agree to maintain the confidentiality of your students' information and to comply with any privacy regulations that apply to all schools. In the past, our students have gotten fairly close to their mentors, and they might share personal stories or experiences that are currently happening. So we just want to make sure that you understand that there is some confidentiality attached to that. You have communicated your intent to participate in the CPTP project as a mentor teacher to your school's leadership or principal. We want to make sure that if your students do come, that everyone is abiding by any regulations. and you understand that you'll receive a stipend at the end of each semester once your student has completed 30 hours of EAM and you have successfully confirmed and approved all of those logs. So we'll dive a little bit deeper into the EAM logs in just a second. But first, we're going to go ahead and do a compass activity. If you have joined us in the past, this is something that should be familiar with you. And I want you to take a look and think about whether or not your compass point has changed since the last time that you've completed it. So if you can go ahead and pull up the document that Yvonne just shared in the chat, it's going to give you 4 different compass points. So what we want is to kind of take a look at what kind of work style you have, what kind of thinker and leader you might be. So we want you to pick one. I know for myself, I identify as Southwest, but if I really think about it, I'm more aligned with a West style of thinking. And so I want you to think about it, take some time, and then hold on to it because we'll ask that you share it in the chat, but we're also going to have you share it in a sign-in sheet in just a moment.
Just remember what you chose, and then you're going to actually sign in today and put your compass point into this short sign-in sheet. So I'm going to drop it into the chat. This is going to be used to verify your attendance. You'll acknowledge the responsibilities and agreements that Nicole just mentioned. You'll share the compass point and then respond to a photo, video, and research consent. So go ahead. If you open up the link in the chat, you'll be able to see the sign-in sheet. Just make sure you put Rio Hondo. Use the same email that you've been using for CPTP, and then you're just going to fill out this form.
If you are a returning mentor, this process is going to look slightly different this year, but we're very excited about the changes that are made. So for the most part, what your student is doing is going to stay the same. They're still going to fill out the log with their first name, their last name, their email. They'll be able to type in your name to ensure that they're selecting the correct mentor. And then they're going to fill out the EAM information, which still consists of the date of the EAM collaboration, how many hours, and what the topic was. All of that is fairly much the same. It's the approval process that has been updated. So now 2 emails are going to be sent. So the student sees that their log has been submitted. They are notified that it's been sent to you, their mentor, for approval, but we also gave them this confirmation stage so they could print the page for their record. But really, we want them to double check all of the information, make sure there's no errors, and go ahead and confirm it. What happens next is the log is then sent to you, their mentor, and you now have to review the request by pressing the blue button on an email that'll get sent to you. And a new question has been added to the log that's asking you, has the EAM log been approved? So you can select yes, yes with edits and comments, or no. And of course, if you're selecting the later 2, we just ask that you give us a little bit of an explanation as to what's going on. And then you go ahead and submit the log. You're also going to get a confirmation page just asking you to double check the information, make sure everything's complete, and then you submit it and it's good to go. It comes to us for the approval. You no longer need to actually email us and say that the log has physically been approved. And what's really nice with this new system is if your student submits more than 1 log for an activity or multiple activities that occurred on the same date, when you receive the email, it should have both of those logs on there so you can approve both of them at the same time. The rest of it is fairly much the same. Every 2 weeks, your students are still going to get the EAM log approved hour summary. It's going to show them how many hours they've submitted and how many of those hours have been approved. That way they can hold themselves accountable, but also so that they can ask to help hold you accountable in case there's a deficit between how many hours they've submitted and how many need to be approved. And when we get into the new Canvas system, there's also going to be a way for you to keep track of the student submitted logs through Canvas as well. So we're very excited about the EAM log updates. So just to kind of recap, your students are going to participate in EAM activities. They'll meet with you to discuss those activities. They will complete their EAM logs. You're going to receive an email of those EAM log submissions. Your students then look out for the email from us summarizing everything every 2 weeks, and you, of course, continue to approve those logs. At the end of the semester, your student should have submitted 30 approved logs by the specific college deadlines, and throughout the semester, we ask that you continue to provide them more opportunities to complete hours so that everyone can receive their stipend. And then just a couple of tips for the EAM logs that we've seen throughout the semesters. Make sure that you're checking your email regularly for any of the EAM logs. Emails that you get sent, I don't recommend letting them stack up throughout the semester and then just saying, oh, I'll go in and approve them all at the end of the semester. One, because we want to make sure that the students are held accountable and that all of their balances are accurate, but also delays in approvals could mean the delays in both your and your student stipends. And then if something happens, the links aren't working, you can always just email us directly for a copy of your student submissions and we'll get you another way to make sure that those are approved. Or if you have any questions about the system, you're more than welcome to reach out to us as well.
Yeah, and then another thing that we've introduced this semester is the Canvas learning management system. Some of you may be familiar with it if you've worked at any of the community colleges or have used it yourself as a student. So it is, it's basically going to be used to house all CPTP related materials and resources for students and mentors. So you will get a login, your student will get a login, and you'll be able to access, for example, the EAM logs, teacher mentoring network resources, community college resources, and then we'll be able to communicate to groups of students and mentors too this way. Just to note, this is a completely separate Canvas system from the community college's Canvas. So we're going to be using this unique URL, the cptp.instructure.com. When we open it, let's see if it'll open. So it'll take you to this login page that is specifically for CPTP. You're going to receive your login information and instructions in your match letter. So we can only set this up once you are matched. And yeah, so the instructions will be in there. You'll also be receiving instructions via email, as well as our team will be at the orientation, the college specific orientation meetings to just check in, make sure that you're logged in and that you're able to use it. And so we're super excited about this, just because in the past, if you've worked with us before, we have videos living here, we have some stuff in Google Drive, we have some stuff in Box, but now it can actually be one place where we place everything. So it'll include like a lot of the videos that we've had in the past, as well as a lot of resources that the campuses can also provide. So like perhaps information about the transfer information about universities, things like that. And so it'll look something like this, the dashboard that you will receive. And then you'll also be able to communicate and collaborate with your students on there as well. And another big feature is that you'll also be able to view the students' logs. And so that's also something that we're super excited about to be able to provide for you. And then, so everything that we talked about today, if you remember that graphic, it's that circle, that big circle, that wraparound services and engagement that we provide for students. So again, EAM is a multi-layered system of engagement for these students to explore teaching. And in the end, the bigger goal is to strengthen the teaching profession by increasing the number of teachers of color. So all of these work in tandem, from the jobs, the mentors, the success coach, the EAM logs, TMN, stipend, and campus resources to provide this holistic experience for the students. And so what's next? So matching is going to happen soon. Some of you might be staying with your same student if you're returning, but there could be some changes that has happened between now and summer, like for example, a graduated or transferred, so you might be rematched with another student. Regardless, if you are new, you are returning, you all are going to get a match letter once the team sits down and figures out who's staying, who's going, what are their preferences are. We take into consideration the student's subject, pathway preferences, time preferences, school location, work style. So there's a lot of different factors that we're going to take this next week to really take into consideration and then match you appropriately. So once matching is finished, you're going to receive an email letting you know who your student match is, a maximum of 2 students, and other information about how to connect with your student and begin working with each other. And then you'll also attend the college-specific orientation to introduce you to the college staff, learn more about resources, and also fill out important paperwork for stipend. So that's going to be a really important place for you to get started with your student. And then another thing is we are on social media now too. So if you want to follow us on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, also Twitter, we'd love that. I think it's a really great way to stay connected to the program as well as the people in it, the community. And we also really intend this year to highlight a lot of student and mentor voices on the social media pages that we have. And so please follow us as much as possible, as well as follow the Rio Hondo Instagram. They're all also very super active and have a lot of really great content to be able to enhance your mentoring experience. And then lastly, we always want to know about the feedback of how we can improve. And so you can go to this QR code here, or we'll post the link into the chat. And you can take these last few minutes. We actually ended a little bit earlier today, which is great. So we can also play the TMN video so you can kind of get a glimpse of that. But while we play that video and play some music to take us out, go ahead and just open up the feedback survey and give us some feedback. And then in the meantime, just keep an eye out for this presentation with the attachments, your match information that will be coming very, very soon. And then updates on any professional development activities, TMN events, both virtual and asynchronous, as well as some hybrid. We do plan on having some in-person stuff this year. So hopefully, yeah, you can attend some of them. And so with that, thank you so much for being here with us today. We look forward to working with you, and just good luck with the beginning of the school year. We know it's kind of a busy time, but we appreciate the time that you have spent with us today. So thank you, everybody. I'm going to be playing this video while you all fill out the survey. And if you have any questions, feel free to drop them in the chat. We are here for the next few minutes.
Teacher Mentor Network. It's a place, it's a space, it's a time to be together, to build kinship and belonging, and also just capacity around like our understanding of the issues of equity in education, and while doing that learning to also to build community with each other.
Discussion hours in the area of special education as part of the Teacher Mentoring Network is an opportunity for CPTP participants and any other teachers, college students, community members who want to can come together to learn more about what student support and special education is and what it looks like in classrooms. The discussion hours focus on gaining a general understanding of special ed and student support services.
The combinations are the tools that are needed for you to be successful and have your schooling as fair as someone else that may not need those things.
Our main reason to partner with NASA JPL is to inspire STEM teaching and learning. We have an exciting JPL series as part of the Teacher Mentoring Network program. Dr. Brandon Rodriguez is the host, who is a scientist educator that provides professional development and trainings to help teachers maximize their students' engagement in learning science.
But it's actually more authentic this way. I am the rover, right? And the camera, this is the arm. This is all you get. This is all you get when you live on Earth and you're looking at Mars. So it's kind of funny. You're limited in a very realistic way.
We love working with Brandon. He gives us updates on NASA's exciting work, like the current work with the Mars rover. He shares real-time data relating to climate change. Brandon does a great job making science relevant to everyday life.
The equity hours are important because it's a place for us to learn about the issues of equity and inequity in education, and also to build critical consciousness.
My expectations around the kinds of things that they would talk about was very off, because a lot of the students were, not really, they didn't have the time to focus on homework and schoolwork as much as they were dealing with all these external factors. So I just felt like it was a real eye-opener for me, and I needed to really realize I have to practice putting myself in a completely different perspective in order to be helpful.
I love the opportunity to open with grounding and acknowledging like difference, acknowledging it, talking about it, just grounding ourselves and rooting ourselves in anti-racism, and in being able to accept all of the wide range of differences in who we are, as being just like, that's the foundation.
My favorite part of the TMN events has to be the exploration and the networking opportunities that students get. Students are getting access to so many different kinds of conversations and topics that you don't really get a chance to explore in your day-to-day classroom. And it's a chance for students across 3 campuses to come together to network within themselves, but also just a chance to have fun outside of school while still learning about something that you could potentially be passionate about. Our team can only do so much. It's the participants and the mentors who truly make this project a success.
Thank you, everybody. If you finish the survey, feel free to head out. Otherwise, let us know if there's anything we can do.